starting to get serious over in the Conference League as we get into the quarter-final stages. Only 8 clubs remain who will take, of course, a giant leap towards the semi-finals in the first legs of the quarter-finals. We'll get into that and much more next. That's right, folks, back once again with another prediction video. Today is all about the quarterfinals of this year's Europa Conference League. It is the first legs, and they're coming at you this coming week. We'll get into all of that, of course, in a minute. Of course, where you've been, you smash your subscribe and you want to subscribe for Conference League, Blabanovas, World Football. We've got it all here under Maruski. That's right, Juggernauts still remain in here. 3 giants of European football still in the mixer here to go the distance. But can they actually get a little bit closer to that title by, of course, getting through to the for the quarterfinals, to the semis? We'll get to that in a minute. Big shout out to the members, big shout out to the patrons. You know who you are. Who are those Power 3? Well, we'll take a look in just a second. But let's first and foremost remind ourselves how we got to this point by going back to the round of 16 and bringing it back up to date with those results. All right then, folks, let's turn the clock back to the round of 16. Now, these are the second leg results, and they should be on the screen right about, well, not now, but right about now then, shall we? Of course, let's recap the results on the screen. Right then, folks, on the screen right about now, should they see the results from the last round, which was the round of 16 second legs. Let's start with the top of the shop here, which was Victor Guadalajara's up against Real Betis. That's right. Coming at you on the night, I went with the 1-0 win for Betis. It was actually a 4-0 win for Real Betis. They go through 6-2 to the quarter-final stage. They'll be joined by Jagiellonia Białystok. That's right. After they came out on top 3-2 on aggregate, despite losing on the night 2-0 to Cercle Bruges in Belgium. Got that one prediction spot on the nose. Lugano and Celje was a banging game. 9 goals on the night. 5-4 it was. I went with a 3-0 win, but of course, Celje coming out on top. Penalties was a deciding factor. 3-1 on penalties. They go through. And they'll be joined by Fiorentina, who did come out top against Panathinaikos. I went with a 2-0 win. It was a 3-1 win. Comfortably done. 5-4 on aggregate. They turned that around as well. Hopping over to the other side here, Chelsea. I went with a 3-0 win over Copenhagen. Just the 1-0 on the night, but they did go through 3-1 on aggregate. And they'll be joined by Legia Warsaw, also of Poland, to make the second Polish team here, who did beat Molde 2-0 on the night. I went with a 2-1 win. Final score on aggregate was a 4-3 result. Legia Warsaw going through. Joined by Djurgårdens out of Sweden. 2-1 winners over Pafos on the night. That was my prediction. 3-0 win. It was final scoreline. And of course, they went through 3-1 on aggregate. And of course, Rapid Vienna did beat back up to Polo. Is that right? Yeah, Borek Banja Luka. Sorry, Borek Banja Luka. My apologies. 1-0 on the night was my prediction. 2-1 it was. Final scoreline. 3-2 on aggregate. Rapid Vienna going through. Complicated. It's all that. What a mess. What a complicated process it is. But, of course, we are now left with the quarterfinal stages. And what are those? Well, I'll show you them in just a second. So the first match, of course, taking place over in Spain. That's right, Real Betis, the hosts, of course, on the 10th of April. They're coming at you, having finished in the old league stage of this Europa League competition, finishing in 15th right now with 10 points for the season. They were actually beneath Jagiellonia Białystok, who finished 9th with an impressive 11 points, of course. But coming into this, Real Betis are unbeaten over the last 6 matches, picking up 4 wins on the spin, up against Jagiellonia Białystok, who've won 2 and lost 2 over the last 6. They did not play each other competitively in the campaign or according to the history books. But they're coming into this, though, Jagiellonia Białystok on the back of a 1-0 win over, I think it's a Polish Cup final, the Super Cup, where they beat Wisla Krakow over in Poland. Sevilla, though, on the back of a 2-1 loss to Real. Real Betis, though, coming into this on the back of that 2-1 win, derby win over Sevilla. That's right. We have basic odds on this one, of course. The Spanish outfit Real Betis are expected to win this game. I've also gone with a heavy scoreline 3-0 win, which does look good for Real Betis heading in to those second legs going back to Poland. But it could be a bit of an intimidating game. And maybe, just maybe, the second leg is where it's all at. Let's move on forward, though, to Celje as they take on Fiorentina. Coming at you over in Celje. NK Celje coming at you, finishing 21st in the league table over in this competition with just 7 points, but they are unbeaten now coming into this on 92% form, winning 4 on the spin and unbeaten in at least the last 6 matches up against Fiorentina, who were one of the big boys, of course, and still remain one of the big boys. They finished 3rd in the table, of course, way back when, and they're coming into this on the back of 3 successive wins. Again, they've yet to take on Celje in this competition, whether it is this year or in recent times, and they're coming into this Fiorentina on the back of 3 successive home wins. Now, this match is an away match. Last time Fiorentina were on the road, they did lose to Napoli. Goodness gracious me, that was, of course, in Serie A. Also, to add fuel to the fire, their last match in this competition on the road, they did lose to Panathinaikos 3-2. So maybe, just maybe, Celje have the upper hand here. Celje on the back of successive 1-0 wins domestically. That was over Maribor and Domžale in both the Cup and in the league. The last time, and they were on the road, the last time they were at home, they picked up a 3-2 win over Nafta Ledava in their Serbian top flight, of course. The bookies on this one, they'll give it to Fiorentina. They're expected to win this one. I think I'm also going to go that way with a 1-0 win, but it is fine margins. It's a difficult, intimidating place to go for Fiorentina, but I just think they'll have too much class in the end. I just expect Fiorentina not to lose this game. It might be a draw, but I think Fiorentina will come out on top in this one. Legia Warsaw, they're taking on Chelsea, coming at you over in Poland. Let's get into this one then, shall we? Legia Warsaw, 7th in the table, of course, at the end of the league phase. They're coming into on 50% form at the moment. 1-2 lost to and drawn to over the last 6. Up against Chelsea, who did finish top bins right now with in the league phase, 18 points. Of course, I think they won all the games. They're coming into this on 67% form. They've got a couple more games before this match takes place. Now, this video will probably drop on Friday. They would have just played Spurs. Not too sure how they would have got on in that game. But then they're taking on Brentford as well in a difficult few days for Chelsea. Bookies odds on this one. Do we have the odds on there? We do have the odds. And Legia also expected to lose according to the bookies. Again, it's a tricky place to go for Chelsea. I think the strength in them is going to be in the second legs. So I think they're actually quite looking forward to this game in Poland and hoping to get something, a point or draw or more. I do expect them to get that draw. I think Legia Warsaw will be optimistic or a little bit happy with the level scoreline heading into the second leg. Opportunity does knock for the Polish outfit. At least maybe just because we do start with 2 Polish teams in this last 8 of this competition. Maybe, just maybe, Legia Warsaw could at least make it a little bit interesting in those second legs. And then we finally wrap it all up, going to Sweden as Djurgårdens take on Rapid Vienna, coming to at Sweden in the first legs. Djurgårdens did finish 5th in the league structure, of course. They're coming into this now, just 1 win in the last 6. That 1 win was against Pafos way back in March. The Swedish league has just started. Of course, Djurgårdens lost the opening day against Malmö. That was at home as well. Up against Rapid Vienna, who coming into this, they did finish 4th in the league. So the 4th seed up against the 5th seed. They're in this. They deserve to be here. So respect where respect is due. But of course, coming at you, Rapid Vienna, back-to-back defeats, losing to losing to Salzburg most recently. The other game was a friendly, so let's not look too much into that. But they're of course a decent team, and of course one of these two will be making through the semi-finals. The bookies odds for this one, looking at it, is quite tight, evenly Stevens. I don't think the bookies can separate the two sides, so it's going to be one of those tight matches. I think I'm going to just about edge it first leg to Djurgårdens, but looking at that fact that the Swedish league has just started, I don't know if that's going to actually play into the hands of Rapid Vienna on this one. But anyway, it is the first legs. We don't really know, of course, when you look at this, there's fine margins besides the rare Betis one. 3 of the 4 games will make it very, very interesting in those second legs. So that's what I take. What do you think, of course, heading into the next round of games? Do you think Chelsea, Fiorentina, Real Betis, the big boys will make it? Who will join them? Of course, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. But until then, guys, we're just about done. Subscribe, smash the like, catch you later. We'll be back next time around for those second legs.